Open world games are starting to dominate the landscape of the video game industry, and when this is the case and the market becomes saturated with a specific type of gameplay, it's important for developers to create their game in a unique and memorable way, and that is what Ubisoft has attempted with Watch Dogs. Some of Watch Dogs' aspects are promising, which make it stand out in the open world landscape. On the other hand though, some key aspects of the game rely too heavily on playing it safe, and in doing so, Watch Dogs doesn't completely tap into the full potential of this new open world stealth action intellectual property.
We are the modern day magicians, siphoning bank accounts out of thin air.
Watch Dogs plays it safest with the main campaign story. You'll take on the role of Aiden Pierce, a vigilante cybercriminal on a warpath paved with computer hacking and vengeance. In the twilight minutes of the game, you'll discover Aiden's niece was collateral damage during a car crash designed to scare Aiden away from investigating sensitive information he accidentally discovered while pulling a bank heist. The death of Aiden's niece during this car crash propels the rest of the narrative as he continually follows leads and works his way up the chain to try and find the head of the operation.
Give me a name.
They never gave me a name!
Yeah, I'll tell your name. Lena Pierce.
Aiden's single-minded approach of revenge makes him feel one-dimensional, as his motive is supposed to be driven by seeking justice for the death of a loved one, but he continuously puts his remaining family's lives in danger in the pursuit of that vengeance throughout the entire campaign. So all in all, it's a very cut-and-dry story of paradoxical revenge that also slightly brushes over more interesting notions of privacy invasion and the misuse of technology at times. On the upside, where Aiden falls flat, some of the supporting cast picks up the slack. Jordy, for example, is awesome.
These two nutsacks are some unfinished business from a Gabonese job. You should have seen the way that they tried to take me out. I am driving this beast of a muscle car right out of the 70s. You know when an automobile accident was still called a fucking car crash?
Let's go.
Yeah, so these geniuses here think they're gonna ram me off the road with some plastic, eco-friendly shitbug. It just makes this weird ping and bounces off into a parked van. Here, hold that.
But on the downside, most of the supporting characters are shortchanged and don't receive the screen time they fully deserve, instead mostly appearing as faces during phone calls as Aiden makes his way around Chicago.
I'm getting a little nervous here, Pierce. You find him?
I'm tracking his GPS. Cut him off before he reaches the prison.
Nice.
Thankfully though, Chicago itself is one of the best characters of Watch Dogs. Good old Chi-Town looks beautiful and is jam-packed full of activities, computers to hack, and cars to drive. At first, navigating the city is a bit frustrating because the different vehicles are somewhat icy and don't handle very well, but after you get a feel for the cars, it's a pleasure to roam through the streets of Chicago. To discover all Chicago has to offer, you'll have to find and hack into special towers called CTOS terminals, and reaching each terminal is a puzzle in and of itself. But after you breach the terminal, Aiden can then manipulate the environment by hacking with the push of a button, like lifting drawbridges, affecting traffic lights, stopping the L train, and basically controlling anything that's electronic. These CTOS terminals will also mark the map of Chicago with a variety of different missions for each zone, like taking down gang hideouts, street races, and just seriously, there is a ton of stuff to do. Now, like many other open world games with a large sprawling city, missions, heists, fast-speed car chases, cover shooting showdowns, evading the police, and many other gameplay tropes of the sort, Watch Dogs isn't that different, but its most standout aspect is that it feels like an open world stealth game. Aiden can slink in the shadows, trigger nearby electronic devices like cell phones or forklifts to distract a foe so he can then take them down unseen. In truth, Watch Dogs might just be the first stealth game where cameras are your best friend instead of an obstacle to avoid. With the click of a button, Aiden can hack into the perspective of surveillance cameras around the environment, leapfrogging from camera to camera in order to scope out the situation, allowing him to mark targets' whereabouts, trigger environmental hazards, create distractions, detonate grenades in enemies' pockets, and much more. These pre-combat reconnaissance mechanics, in combination with the cover-to-cover sneaking, allow for a much more tactical approach to potential battle situations than most open-world games, giving it a somewhat unique spin on the genre. But don't get me wrong, Watch Dogs isn't all sneaking and meddling with electronics. There's definitely all-out firefights. Weaponry for the most part sounds great, feels precise while packing a punch, and the cover-to-cover mechanics are pretty slick and smooth. Taking cover and sneaking behind objects unseen during a firefight allows you to flank the enemy while they shoot in the direction you were last seen, making the AI feel more realistic and human than simple predetermined combat behaviors. Overall, Watch Dogs combat is definitely one of its strongest features. Another strong feature is the online gameplay. Anyone who's a fan of the Souls series will understand how some of the online mechanics operate straight away. You see, to gain money, find jobs, locate criminal activities, unlock songs, and things of that nature, Aiden must scan and hack the phones of other pedestrians. Sometimes when doing this, Aiden is caught and the citizen can report the act. If you don't reach the person to stop the call, a contract will be put out in your head, essentially allowing your game to now be eligible for invasion.
Go ahead. Yeah, I found one. Guy hacked right into me. I'm issuing a contract on him.
Classy.
Copy that. We bumped the bounty and a contract's been issued. We're disabling the target's firewall now.
These invasions create some of the most intense and heart-thumping moments of Watch Dogs as you search the streets to find and kill your invader while they hack you. And when invading, it's up to you to stay concealed and make a clean getaway after hacking the player character. Really, the only downside to invasions is that the competitive play is sorely lacking fear of losing or being hacked. There's no consequence for loss, which takes away from the tension and thrill it strongly creates. Beyond the invasion multiplayer interactions that are seamlessly integrated into the game world, you're also able to enter a variety of different online modes and gameplay types at any time, like races, decryption matches, free roaming, and a few others. The most notable drawbacks to the online interactions from a technical standpoint was extreme frame rate drops after the conclusion of an invasion, but this issue goes beyond just the online aspects. There are also noticeable frame rate drops and lag after the completion of basically every mission, even while offline. Finally, I did run into some problems where characters wouldn't load into cutscenes, essentially creating these strange phantom exchanges of dialogue. Really though, there's always going to be a plethora of glitches and oddities to expect from massive open world games, even one that focuses on the power of computing technologies. When the first Assassin's Creed hit the scene early in the lifespan of the PS3 and Xbox 360 console generation, it was a well-received title for what was at the time the new generation of gaming, just like the Xbox One and PS4 now. But it wasn't until Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed 2 that the franchise really left its unforgettable mark. I believe Watch Dogs will share a similar fate. The hacking, stealth, and story are just not enough. Watch Dogs needs to do more to stand out in the landscape of open world gaming, a terrain which is populated with some of the best titles in the industry. Watch Dogs is undoubtedly a really fun game with a lot to do. That being said, there is definitely room for Ubisoft to improve upon this specific open world idea, but for now it just feels like a really good first attempt at something with huge potential.